Okay, welcome everybody. Catena 2019. And just a bit of a preamble before the ceremonies begin, that 2019 has been quite a moving year of generosity, and many people may know, some may not, all the offerings that have been given to this monastery, to us as a community over the course of the past year has been quite overwhelming, actually, and it's been pretty amazing. The year actually began with the offering of the new property across the street, Santi Vihara. A few of you were staying over there, so that was quite an amazing offering. And what that allows us to do is to exist long-term as a community. So like having a place where, as our Sangha grows older, because the Western Sangha is still quite young, we don't yet have all the stages of life in terms of death, which is the last stage of life. So like, we haven't yet had any of our monks pass away from old age that I know of. So, but having a place where the elderly monks can be looked after and into their old age, so having a proper facility for that, it's quite important, and gives a feeling of like a long-term continuance of the Sangha. And then on through the year, there was a lot of generosity. We got offered a new truck and other things. So just a lot happening. And of course, once the generosity reaches a certain point, it seems to start overflowing. So that happened when Luangpa Pasano came back from his 1 year away in July 11th, and then he came back, and we planned to have his 70th birthday, and then because the boon was overflowing, then he got called back to Thailand and had to receive a upgrade to his Jiao Kun title, and had to spend his 70th birthday over the Pacific in the air rather than at the monastery. Yet the generosity, because it was overflowing, people still showed up here anyway. And even though we sent out notices of cancellation, almost everybody still showed up. And then we had to make another day, August 10th, to celebrate Luangpa's 70th birthday plus the new Jiao Kun title, which just gave another reason to come out here again. And everybody came back, and it's really great. And now we've got this Kaṭhina ceremony. We weren't sure who was going to show up because there was fires and there was a lack of electricity, and lots of people's electricity was turned off. So maybe it'll just be a small Kaṭhina, but that's definitely not the case. So Anumodana, this is pretty amazing. And once the Sangha is gathered, looks like everybody's here. I'm going to ask if Luangpa would lead us in the veneration of the triple gem.
Pujayama Sadhuno Bhante Bhagava Suchira Parini Putopi Vachima Janata Nukam Pamanasa Vime Sakare Dugatapana Karabhute Patiganhatu Amhakandi Garatam Hitaya Sukhaya Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namassami. Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
So also, in addition to having a large gathering, we also have a very special guest here with us. It's the Jawa Wat, the abbot of Theravada Buddhist monastery outside of Ottawa, in near town Perth, Ontario, Canada. That's Longpa Viradhamo is with us, which makes this occasion extra special. And he's spending not quite a week with us. He'll be heading back in a couple of days, and he's got the same number of pansa as Longpa Pasano, so they're comrades in arms in the training, and quite a blessing to have Longpa Viradhama with us as well. And thank you for being here with us, Longpa. So we will begin. We'll try to make this as auspicious as possible. So we'll begin with some Paritta chanting, and that's if Yom Nong could make the request for that.
วิปติปฏิภาหายาสัพพสัมปติสิทธิยาสัพพะทุกขวินาศายะปริตังครูธมังคลังวิปติปฏิภาหายะสัพพสัมปติสิทธิยาสัพพะพยวินาศายะปริตังครูธมังคลังวิปติปฏิภาหายาสัพพสัมปติสิทธิยาสัพพะโรคาวินาศายะปริตังครูธมังคลัง
ปริทวานเมตังสเมธาสัทธันตาอเวทิตจิตตาปริตังขนันตุสัพเพกะเมจารุเปชริสิกขังสัพเพจันตริเทมาเนติเประเทจัตถาเนจารุวเนกหาเนเคหะวัตถุมหิเขเตปุมมาจยันตุเทวาจรัตราวิสเมยัคขังกันทัพพนาคาติทันตาสันติเกยังมุนิวรวัจนังสาทโวเมสุนันตุธรรมะสวนาการโรหายัมพัทันตาธรรมะสวนาการโรหายัมพัทันตาธรรมะสวนาการโรหายัมพัทันตานะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังสรณังกัจฉามิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิสังฆังสรณังกัจฉามิทุติยัมปิพุทธังสรณังกัจฉามิทุติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิทุติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังกัจฉามิทัตติยัมปิพุทธังสรณังกัจฉามิทัตติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิทัตติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังกัจฉามิโยชากุมาโมหะมะลาปะกะโตสัมมังวะพุทโธสุขโตวิมุตโตมาราสปัสสะวินิโมจยันโตปะเปสิเกมังจานตังวินัยยังบุตังวรัญจังศิรสานัมมามิโลกาสนาทันจวินายกันจทันเทจะสาเทจะยสิริโหตุสัพพันธรายะจวินาสเมนตุดัมโมทโจโยวิยตัสสะสัตุตัสเสสิโลกาสวิสุริมากังนิยานิโกธรรมดาราสดาริสัตตาวะโหสันติกโรสุจิโนธัมมังวรันตังศิรสานัมมามิโมหะปะดาลังอุปสันตดาหังตันเทดะสาเทดะยสิริโหตุสัพพันธรายะจวินาสเมนตุสัตตัมมะเสนาสุกตานุโกโยโลกาสปะปุปกิเลสเจตาสันโตสยังสันตินิโยจะโกจสวากาตดามังวิดิตังกโร
ติสังฆังวรันตังศิรสานัมมามิบุทานุบุตังสัมมาสีลติติงทันเตจัสสาเตชยสิริโหตุสัพพันตรายะจวินาสเมนตุนะโมอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะมเหสิโนนะโมอุตตมะธัมมาสสวากขาตาเสวะเตนินะโมมหาสังฆัสสะปิวิสุทธัสสิลติติโนนะโมโอมาทยาราดัสสะรัตนาตยัสสะสาธุกังนะโมโอมกาติทัสสะทัสสะวัตถุตยัสสะปินะโมการะปะปะเวนะวิกัจฉันตุอุปาดวะนะโมการานุภาเวนะสุวัตติโหตุสัพพดานะโมการาสเทเจนะวิริมิโหมิเตจวะเสวนาจะบาลานังบัณฑิตานันจะเสวนาปูจาจะปูจนียานังเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังปฏิรูปเดสวาโสจะภูเบจะกตปุญญาตาอัตตสัมมาปณิทิจาเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังปาหุสัจจันจะสิปัญจเวนโยจะสุสิกิโตสุภาสิตาชยาวาจาเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังมาตาปิตุอุปาทานังพุทธทาราสสังฆโหอนาคุลาชกัมมันตาเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังทานันจะธัมมจริยาจัญญาตกานันจะสังฆโหอนวัจจานิคัมมานิเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังอารติวิรติปาปัมมาจะปานาจะสัญญโหอัปปมาโดจะธัมเมสุเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังการโวจะนิวาโตจะสันตุติจะกตัญญูตากาเลนะธัมมัสสวนาเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังคันติจะโสวัจจสตาสมานานันจะดัสสนังกาเลนะธัมมัสสกาจาเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังจะโพจะพรหมจริยาจะอริยสัจจานะดัสสนังนิพพานสัจจกิริยาจะเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังพุทธัสสะโลกธัมเมหิจิตังยาสนะคัมปฏิยโสกังวิรจังเขมังเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังเอตาดิสานิกัตวานะสัพพะธัมมปราจิตาสัพพะทโสทิงกัจฉันติทันเตสังมังกลมุตตมันติอิติปิโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธอิจฉาจารณะสัมภาโนสุขโตโลกวิทูอนุตตโรปุริสธัมมัสสารติสัทธาเทวมนุสสานังพุทโธภะคะวะติสวากขาโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมสันติติโกอะกาลิโกเอหิปัสสิโกโอปนาเอโกปัจจตังเวทิตาโบวินยูหิติสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆอุจุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆญาญาปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสามิจิปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆยะริรังจัตตาริปุริสยุคานิอัตถปุริสปุกลาเอสัมภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆพาหุเนโยพาหุเนโยดากิเนโย Anjali Karaniyo Anuttaram Punya Ketang Lokasati Metan Jasa Balo Kasming Manasam Bhavaye Aparimanang Udang Ado Chatiriyan Cha Asambadang Averang Asapatang Titan Charang Nisino Sayano Yavata Savigatamito Etang Sating Aditeya Brahma Metang Viharang Idamahuditin Chanupagam Asila Vadasanena Sampano Kame Suvinaya Ketang Naijatuna Baseyang Punaretiti Mahakaruniko Nato Itaya Sabapanina Pureto Aparamisa Papato Sambodhi Muttamang Etena Sajavajena Hotu Te Jayamangalam Jayanto Bodhiyamule Sakyana Nandivadano Evang Tavang Vijayo O Vijaya Sujaya Mangale Aparajita Palanke Sise Patavi Pokare Abhiseke Sababudana Agapato Pamodati Sunakakang Sumangalang Supapatang Suhutitang Sukano Sumuhuto Jasuyitang Brahmachari Subadakinang Gaya Kamang Vacha Kamang Badakinang Badakinang Mano Kamang Panidite Badakinang Badakinang Ikatwana Labantate Badakine.
Okay. And next would be to do the request for the 5 precepts, Samathan scene. Anybody would like to read along? It's page 126. 126. Page 126 of Chanting Book 1. Is
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะ
มะยังพันเต
มะยังพันเต
วิสุงวิสุงลักขณขายะ
วิสุงวิสุงลักขณขายะติสสเนนะสหะปัญจศีลานิยาจามะทุติยัมปิมะยังพันเตวิสุงวิสุงลักขณขายะติสสเนนะสหะปัญจศีลานิยาจามะตติยัมปิมะยังพันเตวิสุงวิสุงลักขณขายะติสรเนนะสหะปัญจศีลานิยาจามะ
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโต Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Dhammang saranang gacchāmi.
Dhammam saranang gacchāmi.
Sanghang saranang gacchāmi.
Sangham saranang gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi dhammam saranang gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi sangham saranang gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi dhammam saranang gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi sangham saranang gacchāmi.
Tisaranagamanaṃ nittitaṃ.
Namaste.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kame sumichachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kame sumichachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Surameraya majjapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Surameraya majjapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Imani pancha sikkhapadani silena sugating yanti silena bhoga sampada silena nibbutiṃ yanti tasma silang visodhaye.
Okay. Now that we've purified the Paritta chanting and taking of the Sila, the 5 precepts, before beginning the actual donation and receiving of the Kaṭhina cloth, I'll read a little bit about the history of the Kaṭhina ceremony. Before the Kaṭhina ceremony begins, we would like to take this opportunity to explain a little about its origins as a Buddhist custom. The offering of the Kaṭhina cloth by the laity to the Bhikkhu Sangha is a tradition which has been carried on since the time of the Lord Buddha, more than 2,500 years ago. It was established as a ceremonial act to celebrate both the relationship between the laity and the Sangha and the spirit of concord within the Sangha itself. It was first allowed by the Lord Buddha to a group of 30 monks who were observers of many of the austere practices, the Dhutangas. They had wished to spend the 3 months rains retreat with him, but having been unable to reach the monastery where he was staying in time, they had to spend the rains nearby. They regretted their missed opportunity, thinking, "The Lord is staying close to us, but we are not getting a chance to see him." Nevertheless, they passed the 3 months harmoniously together and, as soon as they could, despite inhospitable roads and continuing rain, with drenched robes and in a state of weariness, they made their way to Savatthi to see him. Perhaps by way of encouragement and to reward their noble efforts, it was after receiving them that the Kaṭhina ceremony and its privileges were established by the Buddha. The Lord Buddha laid down many stipulations in order to make the offering of this cloth and the sewing of it into a robe an act of great importance to both the laity and the Sangha. It is an offering that can be made only once a year at any one monastery, and only where 5 or more bhikkhus have spent the rains retreat together. The cloth must be clean, freely given, and its donation must not have been instigated by the monastic community in any way. Once it has been offered to the Bhikkhu Sangha, it must be cut and sewn into a completely finished robe during the course of that same day. Customarily, all the bhikkhus of that monastery participate in the sewing of the robe. In this way, it becomes an act affirming the harmonious and communal nature of the Sangha. Once it has been sewn, it is then offered to one bhikkhu, decided upon by the Sangha as being worthy of the gift. For the laity, the Kaṭhina offering is a symbolic expression of their faith in the Sangha and a reaffirmation of their eagerness to cooperate harmoniously together in order to provide for its material needs. According to the Lord Buddha, the Kaṭhina cloth is the most meritorious of all material gifts that can be made to the Sangha, bringing superlative benefits to those who have offered it. The Sangha and the laity are now all assembled. If there's to be a Kaṭhina ceremony, then this is now for the time for it to begin. So now, myself and Ajahn Panyo, on behalf of the Sangha, we will ascend our seats here, and from there, then the formal Kaṭhina offering will happen. Let's see if this can be given to Balaji for the... Everybody would prepare and begin by bowing together.
Bowing together 3 times. Prague. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Everybody together.
Yeah, everybody together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Read from the sheet.
Okay.
The big one I printed up.
Imam bhante
Imam bhante
saparivaram
Saparivarani
Kaṭhina Dussam
Kaṭhina Ceremony
Sanghassa
Sanghasa
Onojayama
Onojayama
Sadhuno Bhante
Sadhuno Bhante
Sangho
Sangho
Imam
Imam
Saparivaram
Saparivarani
Kaṭhina Dussam
Kaṭhina Ceremony
Patigganhatu
Parikanhatu
Patiggahetvacha
Parikanheta
Iminadussena
Iminadusena
Kaṭhinam Attharatu
Kaṭhina Ceremony
Amhakam
Amhakam
Digharattam
Dikharattam
Hitaya
Hitaya
Sukhaya.
Sukhaya.
We have all gathered here today
We have all gathered today
to offer Kaṭhina cloth
to offer Kaṭhina cloth
and other requisites
and other requisites
to the Sangha.
to the Sangha.
We request
We request
that the Sangha
that the Sangha
receive these offerings
receive these offerings
of Kaṭhina cloth
of Kaṭhina cloth
and other requisites
and other requisites
for our long-lasting benefit
for our long-lasting benefits
and happiness.
and happiness.
We wish to dedicate the well-being
We wish to dedicate the well-being
coming from our offering
coming from our offering
to our relatives and friends,
to our relatives and friends,
and particularly
and particularly
to our parents.
to our parents.
May all beings be happy.
May all beings be happy.
Sadhu.
Now each offering can be made individually to the center here. How's this going to work?
So we cannot find the person. ต้องคิดถ้ามันหายแล้วอย่ามาร้องแม่ไม่รับผิดชอบนะลูกไข่ไม่ได้ฮะไม่ดูไม่ว่าไม่จะไปดูสักพักพักมากก็ได้บ้างหวานของใครอ่ะต้องรอก่อนไปแค่ลูกของใครมีเจ้าของไหมใช่สุดเดียเมื่อกี้หรือเปล่าชื่อใครหน่อยใครไม่รู้นะเดี๋ยวนะไม่เป็นไรคนนี้เหรอที่ก็รอพี่ต้องไปถามเดี๋ยวถ้าไม่มีใครจะเทถวายแทนพอเดียวไม่เห็นที่มีเอาไปต่อเลยดีไหมที่ต้องเพิ่มดูใช่ไหมมันก็จะยกครั้งยกครั้งยกก็เดี๋ยวต่อแถวกันเลยตามหลุดมาได้ไงอ่ะคุยอยู่แล้วเลย
Only one month.
คิดไปเดี๋ยวถามพี่ติ๋วก่อนต่อไม่หลังเลยหรอจริงเหรอพี่ต้องเป็นเนี้ยอันนั้นของฉันใช่ไหมโอเคขวัญทองป่ะคะขวัญเรือนใช่ไหมคะหาเจ้าของไม่เจอ
มันมา2 อัน
ออกมา2 อัน
ของใช่อันนี้
So you can sit in peace and move your
Now, there was a lot of offerings given just now, so if your name is not part of the recitation or we missed you, guaranteed there's no less merit to the offering, and it's easy to get something mixed up or missed when there's so many cloth offerings. Now we'll commence with the announcement. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. This Catena cloth and all the offerings present here belong to Tony of Sitai, Balaji and Elizabeth, Guanruan and Glenn Fitton, Chalita, Andrew and Alicia, Sandy, Tala, Laksana, Wipari, Nong, Rose and family, Tanit, Bruce and Tumi, Lampai and Parita, Supapan, Keo, the Ishida family, Dai, Nu and Dominic, Kusadi and family, Hana Monset family, the Piria Watana family, Edward and Puki, Pisit and Lad, Wanwipa, Pirat and Paijit, Li Soko, Lim, Tom, Mimi and friends, Jitima, Dr. Jung Su and Nim, Pia and Nam, Sopita and Bon Mi, and all the faithful and generous lay people who have gathered together for this occasion. This offering is being made to the Sangha, which has spent the 3 months rains retreat in this monastery. This Kaṭhina cloth has come in as pure and unsolicited a way, as if it had floated here on a breeze and settled in the midst of this assembly without favoring anyone in particular. However, the Lord Buddha has made a provision whereby the Sangha can agree to choose which among them they would like to receive the cloth. This bhikkhu must be one who knows the rules and observances concerning the Kaṭhina ceremony according to the terms laid down by the Lord Buddha, and must be one who is well grounded in the Lord Buddha's teachings. He should be someone of pure moral conduct and have a good understanding of the Dhamma. This then is one who can fulfill all of the Lord Buddha's stipulations concerning the offering of the Kaṭhina. Now the assembly of bhikkhus should come to a unanimous decision as to which of them is best suited to receive the Kaṭhina cloth.
This Kaṭhina cloth and all these offerings have been considered suitable for Pasano bhikkhu. He is a bhikkhu of mindfulness and wisdom and can perform the Kaṭhina ceremony according to the way established by the Lord Buddha. If any bhikkhu here disagrees, let him raise his objections now in the midst of this assembly. If everyone agrees, they should express their agreement by saying sadhu in unison.
Sadhu.
So we'll give an anumodana. How it will work, I'll just say a few words, and then we'll do the blessing chant. Then the monastics will, or a good portion of them, will go and start working on the cloth, getting it ready for. First thing we're going to do, we're going to try something new this year. We're going to dye the cloth first, and then draw it out and cut it, sew it. There's a practicality to that, because once you've dyed it, then you know exactly how much it's going to shrink. Oftentimes what happens is you cut it, you sew it, you get it all sewed up, and then you dye it, and then it shrinks too much, or it doesn't shrink enough. And so then, it's always a guess. So we're going to experiment with trying to make things certain. We're going to try to eliminate impermanence. Yeah, exactly. Good luck. So we'll see what happens. Today, of course, it is the Kaṭhina day, and so many people have come, and it's quite delightful to see all of the smiling faces, people coming. Also, before I finish, once we do give the blessing chant, and monastics go out to start the dying, then we will invite Ajahn Viradhammo to give a Dhamma talk. So he is. So don't disappear. I think you'll miss out on this great Dhamma talk. So Catena is, as was read out, it was started in the Buddha's time, and it is an expression of harmony, and where in order for the ceremony to take place, the lay people have to wish to make offerings, and it's something that the Sangha can't ask for. We can't be asking. We shouldn't even be hinting. So it comes out of the lay people's own wish to support. So the cloth and the various requisites and support for the Sangha on the Catena day is coming from the wish of the lay people to support and help, and of course it is a custom and a tradition that is been going on for a long time. So many people know about it, but in order for it to really work, as people recognize that today, for so many people coming together, it relies on many people helping out, sharing, giving, supporting, willingly coming ahead of time. There's people who came on Friday and started with preparations, and of course some of it is cleaning up and making things neat and tidy. Some of it is preparing the shrine with flowers, and many people helped out with that, preparing the grounds and helping with that, helping with the parking. Was there a count today of how many vehicles? 80. Okay, so 80 vehicles. That's a lot of vehicles. And there was actually several people mentioned to me how smoothly it all. Oh, the parking was really smooth. There's a real system, and that's quite wonderful to, how'd you say, you keep trying to learn, and of course that's really in terms of say Buddhist practice, that's what when the Buddha talks about practicing or training, the word is much more literally about learning and educating oneself, so that our it isn't just learning something from a book, but say like learning how to do a ceremony and make it smooth, make it pleasing, make it work, not let it be too confusing. Same thing happens with our own mind. How do we learn how to look after our mind? How do we learn how to look after our life? So there's this ongoing learning, training, educating ourselves that we do according to the Buddha's teachings and the Buddha's way of practice. So that, and then of course, the having so many people come, everybody, many people brought food, and then helping out, organizing the kitchen, then helping to clean up after, and everything went incredibly smoothly. And I just, really like to appreciate or express appreciation for how everybody helped out and made this go very, very smoothly. The Catena happens once a year, and of course it's an expression of harmony in the Sangha as well. Like starting from from in a few minutes, the cloth will be taken and washed and dyed, and everybody will be all the members of the community who are here will have a hand in doing something. My job is to put on the borders of the robe, to help sew on the borders. So at the very end, and so there's everybody. It's even if I'm the most senior, you still help out, or if you're the most junior, it doesn't. Yeah, everybody helps. Everybody's doing something. So it is a way of both expression of harmony, but it's how you create harmony. It's by doing things together that you get to know people, you get to learn about each other, you get to help each other. That you create bonds of friendship, bonds of fellowship, and this is important as human beings. And then, of course, I was thinking about the actual significance of Catena is one thing, and it's particularly important, I think, this year, in the sense of, because one of the things that Catena does, it's a time when everybody can come together. It's a lot of joy, a lot of harmony, and in particular, it's these ceremonies that do bind us together, give us an opportunity to come together in a good way. And this year, with fires, no electricity, I think there's a lot of people who are here today who evacuated their homes because of the fires, and probably weren't sure when they were going to get back to their homes, or some people who weren't sure whether they were going to have homes, but having something that you think is happening on a regular basis, there's a certain rhythm in life that is supported, and knowing that it's people coming together, it's a real support to have these ceremonies, these rituals, have these things that we're doing that draw out what is good in us, and it reminds us that it's there, and we can be plugging into that, and we can be turning to that, and we can turning to others for support as well. So this is an important aspect of these ceremonies that we do have, and how to use them skillfully, because ceremonies can sometimes be just empty and pretty dumb, really. But if they're used skillfully and understood well, then they can be of great benefit. And it's how we turn them, how we use them, how we apply them. And so that today we've all come together in in a really harmonious way, in a beautiful way. And I'd like to, on behalf of the Sangha, just like to express my appreciation and gratitude for all of the generosity and kindness that has been shown in looking after us as a Sangha. And we'll offer a formal blessing. Yatha varivaha pola paripolendi sakarang evameva itotinang petanang upakapate ecetang matitang tumhang kipameva samichatu sape porendu sangapa janto panaraso yantha mani chotiraso yatha Sambarogo vinasatu mate bhavadvandarayo sukhi dikayuko bhava ambivadana silisani changutapachayino chataro dhamma vadande ayuvanno sukhang palang kale dadandi sapanya vadanyu vitamachara kale nadinang aryesu juputesu tatesu vipassana manatasa vipola hondi dakina ye tata anumodandi vaya vachangarondiva na te na dakina ho na te piponya sabhakino tasamanande apativana cito yata dinang mahapalang punyani paraloka saming patida hundi paninandi Bhavatu sapamangalang rakhandu sabadevada Sabha buddhanubhavena sanda soti bhavantu te Bhavatu sapamangalang rakhandu sabadevada Sabha dhammanubhavena sanda soti bhavantu te Bhavatu sapamangalang rakhantu sabadevada Sabha sanghanubhavena sada soti bhavantu te. Okay, so invite the Sangha members to go ahead, or whoever has the duties to be getting the cloth ready. Also, if the Sangha members could bring the Dhamma seat up here, and then somebody is going to make a formal invitation. So, okay.
Also, just to let people know, after Lumpur Dhammo gives his Dhamma reflection today, there will be an opportunity for people to take a tour of the monastery. We'll have a truck available to go up if people want to see a bit more of the monastery. That will be after the talk.
Bye.
Maybe if the front row could move to the side here, to the side so we can down the stairs.
They need some help?
The first row with something.
You want to come this way?
I think I can back this one row. Move down.ไปเร็วๆเดี๋ยวหนูจะไปถวายด้วยHoney, can you take a picture for me, please?
Rather than Louise and I'm having second thoughts about this. Are you thinking of this low post? It is? This low post. This one? Is that yours? Oh, maybe this one. Yeah. Oh, you filled it up. Yeah. Come on.
One third.
Flip
con the time you chắc xong cả sai như thế thì thật đến nó hồi quay nó sẽ đi
Oh, there it is.
Are you a weaver? No?
But the rabbit
So now we will be, the Dhamma talk will be taking place now for anyone who is interested in coming back together.
Sam Chomon.
Ramajaloka Thibadi Sahambadi Kan Anjali Anan Tiwarang Ayajata Santi Tasantha Parasha Kashatika Tese Dhammang Anukam Bimang Pashang.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namassami. With your permission, all.
So congratulations to Long Po on his 70th birthday, and also his elevation to a second level in the Chao Kunship. This is a great honor for Long Po himself, but also for his community, our community, that the powers to be in Thailand recognize his work as being significant and continue to recognize that. And its significance is, of course, that the whole Sangha is thriving. This is wonderful to see, isn't it? You have such a strong Sangha living here and thriving. And all our monasteries are doing very, very well, really. So it's very encouraging to see people interested to both go forth and to practice as lay people. So what to say? I was observing these offerings, and just how beautiful that was, wasn't it? One person after another person, and I could see their faces because I was seated here. One person, another person, and just to be able to participate in something where I haven't really done anything, but I get all the joy out of it too. And that joy is the joy of beauty that we... Does that sound better? No, it doesn't. That we as human beings have the capacity to notice beauty, both architecturally, aesthetically, but also emotionally and in our personal relationships. So I, as a human being, have the capacity to witness the joy of others. It's called mudita. This is a beautiful, beautiful quality. I don't know if squirrels can do that. The squirrels in my kuti, they're always fighting each other. They're not happy if the other one gets an acorn. They're sort of different kind of beings. So we as human beings, we have animal instincts, but we also have very divine instincts. And these divine instincts or divine possibilities or divine emotions, the Brahma Viharas, are the encouragement that the Buddha gave us to cultivate that kind of beauty in our own lives. Not just aesthetic beauty, because aesthetic beauty is helpful. It's very, very helpful. But in itself, it can become an attachment and a conceit, actually. But the divine qualities of the heart are something that no one can really take away from us. So not only can I witness this beautiful ceremony and the joy and just the way the offerings were wrapped. Isn't that fantastic? They had these little stands, and someone had sewn those little socks for them. Just coffee cans. And someone had taken the time to sew the socks. And those pliers, where'd you get those? What was that about? And then I was watching the ladies wrap the cloth with wrapping paper and then a little flower there. That's such an act of the heart, isn't it? So rather than just giving, the act of the heart is something that is participated in a long period of time. So the giving isn't just like this one act, it's the consideration, purchasing the material, wrapping it, making the time to offer it, gracefully bowing. All this is a kind of accumulated divine quality, isn't it? Accumulated virtue. And the result is very, very good. So what I can do with this in the evening meditation tonight, I can remember that. I can, I don't have to forget about it. I can take it to my meditation. I can begin the meditation with that. And I don't know everyone's name, but that's all right. I can get a feeling for that. And that can be the introduction to my meditation. And this is a capacity we have. We have a capacity both to do beautiful things and to remember beautiful things, to cultivate beautiful things in the heart. Unfortunately, we also have the other capacity. We have the capacity to do stupid things and unfortunate things and unpleasant things. And as human beings, we pay the price for that. So if I did something which was really unskillful or cruel, then my evening meditation would be plagued by that. It'd be hard for me to forget it, actually. So we have a possibility, we have a responsibility. When we begin these ceremonies, we always begin with the 5 precepts. And the way we think about well-being and beauty and happiness in a Buddhist context is that there are ways of happiness which come about through not doing something. They come about through restraint. So not killing, and not stealing, and not lying, and not being promiscuous, and not being inebriated and intoxicated. The results are a certain kind of happiness because the mind's not plagued by remorse, regret, self-doubt, self-disparagement, self-hatred, all those kind of poisonous qualities that the human mind can experience. So there's a happiness from not doing, and there's the happiness from doing. So we have the happiness of doing here. Dana, metta bhavana, karuna, mudita, these expressions. So there's a part of us which is expressive, and there's a part of us which is wise and doesn't express. We all know, say, that there are certain levels of happiness which are very immediate. You eat something you like, but there are levels of fulfillment which require a delay in gratification. If I want to meditate, say, if I want to meditate, and I've never meditated before, I could sit down and after 5 minutes think, that was a bad idea. Let's watch Netflix. Much nicer. So I get a certain happiness or gratification from the Netflix. But then I realize that's not really making me peaceful, and it's costing me a lot of money, and the movies aren't that good anyway. So then I decide, well, maybe I'll forego the short-term pleasure of the Netflix for the long-term benefit of peace. And this is education or training, as Luang Por is saying. So I sit down, I start to meditate, and then after 5 minutes the same idea comes up. This is a stupid idea. I think I'll watch a movie. But I say, no, I'll forego the pleasure of the Netflix for a long-term result. For a long-term result, which is more beneficial. And so I sit there, and I feel restless, and I look at the clock, 5.5 minutes, 5 3/4 minutes, and I feel restless. And now it's not pleasant. It's not a pleasant experience. But there's something in me which realizes just following my impulses hasn't been really giving me very good results. And so I begin to witness restlessness. I begin to notice restlessness as an object. And as I notice restlessness as an object, and I'm patient with it, I begin to touch the peace of the heart, which is more profound than a Netflix movie. So I can still watch the Netflix, but now I have another possibility. I have a deeper possibility which comes about through training, through education, through understanding, through developing virtuous qualities. One of the things we do a lot as human beings is we think. You've noticed that, I hope. We think a lot, don't we? So part of the understanding of the human consciousness, the human experience, is to understand thinking. When I went back to Canada, I had been a monk for 5 years. My dad had sort of finally come around that I wasn't going to leave as a monk. So when I first became a monk, he was more than disappointed. He was shocked. Poor man. But he came around, he said, okay, he wants to do this. He said, it sounds all right. And then I told him one of the things we try to do as monks, that we try to train in quietening the mind to no thought. And he said, that's impossible. He was an intellectual. Thought was very, very important for him. And to go to the space of no thought, you can't do that. That's not possible. I said, well, I'm trying. I'll give it a go. Now, the space of no thought is something we don't notice because we are so caught up with thinking. And So to train the mind, what we need to do is become much more aware of our thinking processes, to become conscious of the very nature of thought, rather than to be thinking all the time. It's quite hard. It's quite a difficult thing to do, because so much of thought is habitual. We just think. So what we try to do in Buddhism is begin to develop right thinking, a way of thinking which gives a perspective on the habits of thought. And the way we do that is we make an intention in our daily life practice, is to notice the mood of the mind when we're thinking. So let's say if I'm worried about something in the monastery, there'll be a narrative, won't there? There'll be a story. I'll be thinking about this, what's going to happen there. So not only will there be the narrative or the story, there'll also be a mood. There'll be an underlying tone to the mind. If I'm irritated or I'm angry, then the tone of the mind will be irritation or anger. There'll be a story, there'll be a narrative. I'm angry at A, B, or C. If I'm fantasizing about something, if I'm anxious about something. So what we're trying to do is, as we develop self-awareness, we're trying to get behind the thinking processes. See more deeply into the thinking processes rather than be caught up into the narratives all the time. And when we do that, you'll notice that actually the types of thoughts we have aren't that many. The stories are infinite. But actually the moods of the mind that we have, there's maybe 5 or 6. You're anxious maybe 20% of the time. Irritated maybe 20% of the time. That's already 40%. Right? So I won't cover the rest of your 60%. I'll leave that to you. But you can see that if I have enough awareness to begin to inquire into the nature of worry, rather than just worrying all the time, I begin to have a perspective which is a kind of intelligence. If I'm just caught in worrying all the time, and I try to get rid of the worry, that's not very intelligent. It's just averse. But if I want to understand my own mind, I need to understand worry. If I worry 20% of the time, or I'm irritated 20% of the time, or whatever, if I don't understand those fundamental moods of mind, then I'll never be free, because something will always trigger worry, fear, anger, fantasy, whatever. So I begin to make the intention to awaken to the mood of the mind. Now, Lompa Cha used to... Ajahn, how did Lompa... He said, Sop Arom? Is that how you... Sop Arom. My Thai is pathetic. Lompa Cha taught that a lot. And I find that really helpful, because I was just trying to sort out the storyline. But he said, no, check out the mood of the mind. What's the underlying tone of the mind? Huh? Now, this isn't a judgment that you should not feel anxious, or that you should have metta for everyone all the time, because that's impossible. But rather, what is it like to feel anxious? What's it really like to be anxious? What's it feel like? And that's the awakening of Bhuttanasati. That's the awakening of Puru, or that's the awakening of the refuge in Buddha. So the way I've been taught, and I think all of us have been taught, the refuge in Buddha is this mind which is awake to the way things are, which knows the way things are. Now, when I'm caught in a narrative of fear or anger or anxiety, I don't know the way things are. I'm just a prisoner to the habits of anxiety or to the habits of anger. But when I awaken and I notice, anxiety feels this way, I'm beginning to practice the path to the end of anxiety, because I'm no longer the anxious person. I know anxiety as an object. Can you see that? Can you see the difference? That there's a difference between me thinking anxious thoughts, what's going to happen, I don't know what I'm going to do, and awakening, think, oh, this is anxiety. There's a huge difference, isn't there? And that's the difference of freedom. It's not that you can suddenly get rid of anxiety, because it's a habit. And it has its place, in human consciousness. But once I begin to do that, and I make an intention, then I can introduce right thought. Because now I know, anxiety feels this way. Oh, this is anxious. And then I can introduce right thinking rather than narrative thinking or storyline thinking or attached thinking or papancha or prungdang or whatever you want. Prungdang is the best word in the world. You know, I don't know for you or not Thai. Prung means to season, right? Restaurant. Yeah, I can never get the tone right. Prungdang. So anyway, however you say it. One means to season, and dang means to dress up. Dang tua. And it's a really lovely combination that they used a lot in it. They used it a lot in Thailand. When you're caught in mental proliferation, that's not as graphic. Huh? But when there is anxiety, and then and thinking grabs it, and you season it up and dress it up, it just gets worse and worse and worse, and it seems more and more unreal. If you then say to yourself, I shouldn't be anxious, that's a horrible thing. Has everyone ever done that to you? You're anxious and they say, don't be anxious. You want to kill them. That doesn't help at all. But rather what we say, how does anxiety feel? That's different. And that's what we say to ourselves. We say, what does it feel like to be anxious? Well, it feels terrible. No. What does it really feel like? Not a judgment of it, but what does it really feel like to feel anxious? Then we're awake. We're awake to the feeling or the nature or the Dhamma of anxiety. And from there, we can cultivate right thought. So what kind of thoughts we can put in? We can put in a thought of, I hate this, or I don't want this to be there. That's not right thought. Or we can put in the thought, may I be free from anxiety. May I be free from anxiety. May all beings be free from anxiety. And that's a whole different mindset, isn't it? Because it's not anxious, it's compassionate. And it's not denying anxiety. It's not saying you shouldn't have it. But it's putting in a different mind direction, say. Because the nature of anxiety, it's a direction. The mind is inclining towards this particular mood. It might be anxiety, anger, whatever it is. It's moving in this direction. You awaken to it, and when you awaken to it, you can start to incline it to another direction. Now that takes a lot of work. If the habit is 30 years in the making, or 30 lifetimes in the making, who knows? If it's 30 years in the making, then to start to shift it, it's like shifting the type like a big ship. But what else is there to do? And if you have faith, and if you trust in this process, each time you awaken, anxiety feels this way, may I be free from anxiety. May I be free from anxiety. May I be free from anxiety. The mind begins to move towards the Brahma-viharas, towards compassion and kindness. You still have to think. You still have to solve your problems. But functional thinking is different than anxious thinking. It's completely different. And so right thought and wrong thought are terribly important, obviously. Wrong thinking just takes us down a rabbit hole of suffering. Whereas right thought is a way of giving, again, like I was saying last night, it gives meaning to the very things that we get caught up to. Because quite often when we're training the mind, we think, oh, this is hopeless. It's never going to end. But when we understand, no, we can make the causes now for non-anxiety in the future. We can do that. We have that power. But you have to have faith in that. You have to trust in that. And if you have faith and trust in that, then you just know, okay, anxiety is this way, or anger is this way, or fear is this way. And may I be free from anger. May I be free from fear. May all beings be free from anger. Now when you expand it like that, not just my anxiety, but everyone, and the anxiety I'm feeling right now, or the fear, or the anger, is just the same as everyone who's feeling the same thing, right? And you start to universalize this feeling of anxiety, say, as an example, or anger. You say, just as I want to be free from anxiety, may all beings be free from anxiety. May all beings be free from anger. And your heart starts to really open. Because what is anxiety, or anger, or any mode of self-suffering, what is it? It's a closing down of the heart, isn't it? It's a kind of locking into your own drama and your own sad narrative. And then what do we need to do? We don't need to just kind of get rid of things. We need to somehow expand things, don't we? And this is what the ideas of metta bhavana are about, of karuna and metta. And you can do that through right thought. Now sometimes people think that metta bhavana, the practice of the heart, means that you have some kind of gushing feeling, right? You just love everyone all the time. That's sentimentality. You know, sentimentality is what you feel when you look at Lion King. Oh, you know, aren't the lions sweet? No, they'll eat you. They're not all that sweet. So that's sentimental, and sentimental's okay, right? And that's why sometimes people get turned off by the practices of metta, men, maybe more than, I don't know, but cynics especially. But this sense of, may I be free from suffering, may you be free from suffering, can begin with just a few words. Right thinking. And that right thinking takes you in a direction which begins to open the heart. And if you do that, if you use both language, but also you use your heart chakra. The heart chakra is very sensitive, isn't it? When let's say that the birthday girl gave us 2 jackets here, right? And sweetest thing, right? And that sweetness you feel here, don't you, in the heart? Or when people are kind to you, you feel it here in the heart. But also, when you're anxious, you feel it here. And when you're angry, you feel it here, and in your guts, right? You feel it there. So I think it's very, very important to cultivate not just thought, but also to cultivate this area of our being. And you can do that, can't you? You can actually cultivate your heart. You can, may I suggest, when you wake up in the morning, let's say you suffer from insomnia, and you wake up at 2 in the morning. Huh? And what do? Well, usually you hate the morning. And you know, oh God, I have to go to work, it's 2 a.m. And your mind goes off into negativity. And then you bump around, until like 5, and then you give up, and you get up, and you're in a terrible mood. So you've created that mood from inadvertence. But you can also do something different. You can, and it works quite well, is when you come out of deep sleep, your mind is very, very silent and the heart's very, very open. And when you're coming out of that deep sleep, the ego starts to emerge. The world gets born, me and my problems and the world around me. Well, and so you kind of go forward into the world of becoming. My suggestion is if you go to the heart and you just lay there in Sarvasana, in the corpse posture, you can kind of go back to the depth of peace and deep sleep, but be aware. We don't usually do that because we're trying to get to sleep, right? Which is a kind of restlessness. Well, so rather than trying to get to sleep, why not just lay there, make your body very, very still, and go to the heart chakra. Try it. And if it doesn't work, don't write to me. But it works for me. Now, one of the meditations I suggest a lot for people is the lying meditation. I'm 72 years old now, so it's allowed. My knees are, they're not the greatest. They're kind of old, like my voice. So what I've learned to do is to do lying meditation. And lying meditation, first of all, feels like cheating. Because meditation is supposed to hurt. Your back has to be at least dislocated after half an hour. And then you feel, I really did some meditation. But actually, when you read about meditation, the factors of good meditation are happiness, not torture. And if you're having to hold your body up in pain all the time, you might develop some endurance. Or you might have enough concentration to blot out your body, but you're still going to have to limp away afterwards. Well, with lying meditation and yoga, they call it yoga nidra, you lay down in sarvasana, and those in what they call the corpse posture, You make yourself comfortable. You put maybe a pillow under your knees so your knees aren't too stretched. And you're going to sweep through your body. And the main factor in lying meditation is to not move. That's the main thing. Okay? So you make an adhitthana to not move. And what you'll find is that within 5 minutes you want to move, even though you're comfortable. Right? And what you'll want to do is you want to do like scratch your ear, right? Or move. Basically, you'll probably want to go over on your side and annihilate the mind and fall asleep. That's the basic movement towards annihilation. Roll over on your side. So what you're doing in lying meditation is you're noticing that. You're noticing the pain or the itch or the desire to move, and you don't move. You just don't move. That's all you have to do. And it's not like, I'm not going to move. It's not, it's mental. It's not rigid. And what you'll find is, you'll find that the body will bring up like an itch. And the itch will come up like electricity, and then you have a spasm. You'll do that a lot. Or you'll get really restless, and you just want to roll over. Don't move. And then don't move again. And then if you're wondering what you should do, don't move. That's just one instruction, very easy. So then people say, well, my mind wanders off. Well, I suggest, okay, let it wander. You fall asleep, great. That's what you want anyway. So not a problem. But if you can't fall asleep, and now you use it as a meditation, then you're not creating a lot of negativity, like worry. How am I going to work tomorrow? I have to work. And actually, in that posture, you get a lot of rest, because the body is very, very rested, and your mind's very, very rested. So you have to kind of give up this idea of however hours of sleep you need, because you're not falling asleep, right? It's not like I'm saying you shouldn't sleep. If you fall asleep, great. But actually, you're using that, and a lot of us have that. A lot of us have kind of broken sleep patterns or whatever. You actually use that to actually calm the mind. And then I would suggest that the heart chakra. There's something, I don't know what it is, but there's something about deep sleep, silence, and the heart chakra, which to me is very connected. I haven't figured it out. I haven't seen it in the text, but anyway, I can suggest it. That's all I can say. Is that the heart chakra seems to be very resonant there for me. So when I come out of deep sleep, the heart chakra seems to be very active in a very loving way, in a very kind way. And so what I try to do, as soon as consciousness kind of or awareness, sense whatever emerges, I don't know what emerges, as that becomes conscious, then rather than allow the mind to go and be restless, I go to the stillness. Go to the stillness of the body and go to the heart chakra. Now, it's a kind of experiment, and for those of you who have, say, arthritis, or have a lot of bodily pain, don't give up on meditation. There was a chap last year, I gave a retreat in Pak Chong in Thailand, and he was an older gentleman, and he had cancer, and a limited amount of time, and quite a lot of bodily pain. And I asked him, just try that. He'd kind of given up on meditation. Just try laying there and being very, very still. And he said it worked. It was wonderful, wonderful how it worked. Okay, so it's, we have 4 postures in Buddhism: sitting, standing, lying, and walking. And usually the lying posture, you see it like that. To me, that didn't work. My arm fell asleep. So that's iconic. But as you get older, you'll probably notice that sitting becomes more difficult. And so sometimes it's good, if you want to experiment, to actually do it when you're not sleepy. Like I'll have a cup of coffee and lay down. So I won't associate it with sleep. It's just a formal posture. And because my knees are wonky and my back is not the best, I found it very, very profitable posture. And what's very interesting is how just the stillness, the determination of stillness takes you to stillness. Right? Because now you're not reacting to the itching or whatever in the body. So why did I go there? I'm not sure. Anyway, I was talking about the heart chakra, wasn't I, right? So I think for me, the Brahma-viharas are very important. Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekkha. Now Upekkha is the peaceful coexistence with the way things are. And it's the most difficult, I would say, for me. And where I was talking to the monks about this the other night, when I was caring for my mom, I was with my mom for 9 years. In her last 9 years, she lived to be 96. And it was a really very beautiful time. She was compos mentis right through. She didn't have any dementia. She was legally blind and had bad osteoporosis and so on. But her mind is very, very clear. And the metta bhavana, the goodwill, was very easy, obviously. Mom, may you be well. No problem. Karuna was very easy, compassion. What can I do for you? How can I help you? How can I help you with the pain? Mudita was also easy. So in the 9 years I was with her, in the end of the 4th year, we started the monastery near Ottawa. And so for the next 5 years, I would go every weekend, like every Saturday morning I'd go to the monastery, and then every Sunday afternoon I would return. And I did that for 5 years. And it's about an hour and a half drive from the monastery to Ottawa. My mom loves flowers. So every Sunday we would go to the same grocery store, and I'd get flowers for her. And then I'd take the flowers, and then I'd arrive home, and she'd be all happy to see me again. There was someone there with her, and then I'd real corny, I'd have the flowers behind my back, and ta-da! And I would look at her face, and I would just feel this joy, because she was so joyous, right? And then I would take that for my evening meditation. I did that for 5 years. Now, you do that for 5 years, it's great. It's great on the heart. And that reverberated till now, right? So we can do that physically, yes, by doing things, but then that is felt here, isn't it? It's felt in the heart. And if we learn to go there, not just when we do that, if we just learn to abide there, we'll also see when it closes. When there's anger or anxiety or those kinds of emotions, we'll see. And we'll begin to monitor the moods of our life through the body rather than just through thought. Because thought is very, very secondary. If I say to you, like, what's the color of that flower? You'll say it's yellow. Yeah, but yellow is not the color. The color is such. Right? It's like that. And then we put a name on top of it. And thought does that. Like when you feel angry or anxious or whatever it is, thought is removed from the anxiety. Thought is one step. But to actually feel anxious, to know anxiety, you have to let go of thought and come into the feeling. And the way to do that, and we have a lot of that recommendation in Buddhism, is to feel the heart, to feel the body, to know the body. And then you are educated, not just through thought, but educated through the body. You have a kind of a body understanding, don't you? And we all do this naturally. I'm just kind of encouraging you to actually make it more deliberate, and because it's very, very useful. So then if you have an anxious situation, like I found that giving talks at funerals always made me very anxious, because everyone was always crying. So I have to stop their crying or whatever. And then I would just go here. So back to my mother and Upekkha. Like with my mother, so the metta was easy. The karuna, the mudita were easy, but the upekkha was really hard. And why? Because I didn't want her to suffer. But not wanting her to suffer was my attachment. And it wasn't karuna, it was worry and anxiety. And I could see that with my mom, when I functioned from worry, she would worry. And she'd not tell me that she's in deep pain. We'd all be kind of She tried to keep it a secret, and I tried to keep it a secret. But when I didn't worry, and I say, how does it feel? She said, oh, it's very painful this morning. Oh, yeah. I say, yeah. I'd have compassion, but I wouldn't go to worry. And that's upekkha. Upekkha is the capacity to be at peace with the suffering of your loved ones. And how hard is that? How hard is that? It's very hard. Very hard. But the other actually doesn't help. It doesn't really help. So the sense of acceptance and say, oh, at 96 years old or 95 or 90, what did you want? What do you expect, right? So it's this way. 90-year-old mother feels this way. And this is what we're doing with ourselves and others. We're trying to practice this kind of sense of peace with the way things are, and then offer our help, offer our metta, karuna in these different ways. So as human beings, we think, we have emotions, we act in the world, we have all these possibilities. And the Buddha's offering was in all those realms, to try to develop that capacity for human beings to be fully conscious and emotionally fully developed through these Brahma Viharas. All right, I'll leave that for your reflection then.
Annamayang Dhammakataya Sadhu Parang Dadamase.
Sadhu, 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 anumodami.
Use that. Okay. Long legs. Long legs.
Okay, we'll do a dedication of merit for anybody who wants to follow along. It's on page 33 in English, in the first chanting book 1, and then after that, we'll make a few announcements about cleaning up, etc. Now let us chant the verses of sharing and aspiration. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge, unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble guide. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. So thank you for coming, everybody. And now there will be a cleaning up with the mats. For example, all of these blue mats can go back in the corner, cabinet in the corner, and I'll be around. And a few of us will be around if people have any questions, and putting away mats and chairs and zafus. And also, I believe there's going to be a tour or two of the monastery if anybody wants to go. The truck will be brought to bring people to the upper area if they wanted to see the monastery. This area down here is only a very, very small percentage of the land that we have. We have 300 acres in the monastery, so if anybody's interested in that'll be happening over the next half hour or so. And also, if people are interested in sticking around a bit longer and don't have to leave quickly, then you're also welcome to look and see what we're doing with the dyeing of the cloth and the sewing and seeing how we actually do that. And you can check out our industrial Juki sewing machine and watch as we hopefully don't hurt the cloth or ourselves using it. So thank you, everybody. And I wrote we'll bow to the shrine before we go. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namassami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sangha Namami. And now we'll pay respects to Lama.